Welcome. My name is Abby. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I have a nice flow for you that's going to be all about the hips, making them happy and feeling strong. So if you do practice with blocks, go ahead and grab those and we will start here in child's pose. I'm taking the wide knee variation where the knees are going to be mat width distance apart. If this feels a bit too intense in your body, you can always work on bringing them closer, even as close to touch. Whatever feels best to allow the body to really nicely relax. Working on lengthening the hands out as far as you can, feeling your spine lengthen forward and allowing those hips to sink down towards the heels. Beginning with our Ujjayi breathing, so deep inhales through your nose and exhales out through your nose, trying to make those breaths as long and even as possible. Just breathing deeply, allowing your body to settle, knowing that for the next hour or so, this practice is dedicated to you and your body. You've brought yourself onto your mat today, so really allow your body and mind to enjoy this. Letting go of anything that you have to do later or after this, tomorrow. Just try to bring focus to you. And on your next inhale, we're going to just gently walk our hands over towards the right, really actively reaching with that left side, that left hand, feeling a nice stretch within our left side body here. Just breathing deeply, trying to keep those hips securely close towards our heels, but feeling that nice stretch through our left side. Using your breath, noticing if you're collapsing through that right side, trying to still bring length, bring space. Maybe going deeper on your exhalations here, feeling free to cross your left hand over top your right. It would bring intensity. Trying to feel the depth of that posture. On your next inhale, just walking your hands back through to center, and we will shift over onto our left side here. So again, allowing the hips to stay where they are and just feeling that length through the right side body now, really actively reaching with our right hand. Breathing into that right side. Still finding length in our left side body, not allowing that side body to collapse. Keeping that press into the hands and that engagement through your upper body as we stretch it. And then on your next inhale, just gently walking your hands back through to center. And we're going to come up into a tabletop position here, starting with a little cat-cows. So just checking in with alignment. Shoulders are going to be stacked over your wrists, and your hips are going to be stacked over your knees. On your inhalation, we're going to arch our spine, shifting the gaze up. And then as you exhale, curling under to really trying to press the floor away. Inhaling, arching the spine, opening up through that collarbone, feeling that bend through the back. And as you exhale, really rounding through, trying to look towards your belly button. Go ahead using your own breath here. Inhales to arch. And as you exhale, round. Feeling this within your own body now. You can always move faster or slower here, whatever feels best for you. Just really breathe into your back. Use your breath for those movements. Taking a few more rounds here. And we'll come back to a neutral spine. And on your next inhale, we're going to bend into our right knee and lift that right knee up, beginning with some hip circles here. So just allowing your right knee to come in towards the body, out to the side, and back behind you. Inhaling in towards the body and exhaling to round through. Just warming in up into our hips and just rotating through the opposite direction now. Really making either small or larger hip circles here, whatever feels best for your hips. We're still warming up. And then on your next inhale, allow that right leg to lengthen out toward the side. Those right toes are going to point up towards the ceiling, and we're just going to breathe here. So you may feel a stretching sensation within that right side, that right leg, and you can stay here up onto your hands, just checking in that your spine is nice and tall, or you can go a bit deeper by coming down onto your forearms or a set of blocks, whatever feels best for you. We're just breathing here into our right side, making sure that we're keeping those right toes facing the ceiling and that our spine is nice and tall, still focusing on keeping our core nice and strong to support that lower back. And our left hip is stacked over our left knee. Every inhale, we're gonna come back up onto our hands and coming into a kneeling position. On your next breath, you're just gonna bring your right hand down beside your right knee, coming into a side bend here. We're gonna arch our left hand up and over towards the right side. So another side body bend, feeling really nice and lengthened through. You can always bring a block underneath your hand, whatever prop, to bring a bit of length. Making sure we're really actively reaching with that left hand, not collapsing into our right side body either. On your next inhale, coming back up into a kneeling position, and we're just gonna take that onto the other side. So bring your hands back down onto the floor, and we'll just bring our right knee back beside the left, and we'll take our hip circles on the left side. So inhaling to bring our left knee in towards the body, out to the side and behind. Doing whatever feels best for your body, either small or larger circles, just really working through feeling that within your hip. Making sure that we're rotating through the opposite direction as well. So just shifting it that way, rotating the opposite direction. Firmly planting through the hands and keeping our core nice and strong, feeling supported through the upper body as we rotate within the hips. And then on your next inhale, allow that left leg to lengthen out towards the left side. Left toes are pointing towards the ceiling, and we'll come into that fold. So wherever you land here, you may notice one side maybe feel a bit different. So if it doesn't look the exact same as the right side, no worries. Just breathing to where your body needs. Focusing on still keeping that strength and engagement through that left leg, through nice tall spine, keeping the lower core strong. And then on your next inhale, coming back up onto your hands and fully coming up into a kneeling position as we bring our left hand down beside the left knee, and our right arm is going to arch and up and over to the left side, coming into a side bend here. Maybe bringing a block or a prop underneath your hand if you need a bit of extra support. Just breathing deeply into that right side, still finding length in through the left. Next inhalation, coming back up and replacing your hands down onto the mat, and we'll release our left leg back to meet the right. We'll tuck our toes and find a downward facing dog. So just breathing here, finding your positioning in your down dog, maybe walking it out, doing whatever feels most organic to you. Getting all those wiggles, that movement out that you feel you need. And then just work on finding length through your spine now here, finding your engaged down dog. So pressing through your hands, really nice tall back. If you do notice that you're rounding, bending into your knees and find that length through your spine, and then work on lengthening out your legs. Allowing those heels to work on coming down to the floor. Next breath though, we're going to bend into our knees, deep bend, and we're going to walk our hands back to meet our feet, coming into a really passive ragdoll forward fold. So just allowing the upper body to completely pour forward, deep bend into the knees here. On your next inhale, find length, and we're going to walk our hands back out to a downward facing dog. Finding that stillness and engagement in your downward facing dog. And breathing. Warming up into the body here, warming up into the shoulders, into the legs. On your next inhale, bending into your knees, walk your hands back again to meet your feet and find that fold again. If you do want to bring a bit of engagement in it, every inhale, think of finding length in your spine, lifting halfway, and then as you exhale, just fold forward over your legs. Inhale again, find length through your spine, and as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, find length, and walk your hands back out, finding downward facing dog. So we're really taking our time here, warming up the shoulders within our downward facing dog, and just giving a bit of extra love to our hamstrings by walking back to a forward fold. So here, as you're in down dog, just really focus on that engagement, on that length through your spine, your nice strong lower core. You want one long line of energy from the heels of your hands to your hips, and then your hips to your heels. Again, bringing movement, deep bend in through your knees, walking your hands back to meet your feet. On your next inhale, find length through your spine. As you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, finding length, lifting halfway. And as you exhale, fold forward. Again, inhale to find length. And as you exhale, folding forward, we're going to walk our hands back out into a plank pose now this time. So just finding our alignment, making sure that our shoulders are stacked over our wrists, our legs are really nice and strong, and we'll hinge forward, coming into your variation of a chaturanga, lowering all the way down onto our belly, inhaling up into a cobra, and then as you exhale, we'll inhale up into a full upward facing dog now, and then as you exhale, you'll shift back into a downward facing dog. Gently on your next inhalation, walking your feet up to meet your hands, coming to the top of the mat, Inhale to find length through your spine, lifting halfway. And as you exhale, you're going to take a deep bend into your knees and lengthen your left leg out behind you. You're going to bring your left foot to the pinky toe side of your right foot. So both of your pinky toes should be right next to one another, and we'll just fold forward over our legs here. This is a really great stretch for your IT band, the side of your hip. So bending into your knees, using blocks to help that length through your spine be available is always useful. Just trying to really breathe into that IT band, warming up into the hips here. Every inhale, think of creating length, and maybe as you exhale, going a little bit deeper if that's available. Really pressing through both of your feet. On your next inhale, gently release that left leg and replace it down beside the right. Inhale to lift halfway, finding your tall spine once again. As you exhale, fold forward and we'll come onto the opposite side. Lengthen that right leg out behind you and allow that right foot to land beside the left, crossing your legs, allowing the pinky toes to touch or coming to as close as that you can, and working on folding forward over your legs, feeling all those sensations on the opposite side. Using your breath to travel into the depth of your posture. Breathing deeply here. On your next inhale, find length through your spine and gently release that right leg and allow it to come back down beside the left. Inhale, create length through your spine, lift halfway, and as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sweeping the arms up, coming up to stand, allowing the hands to come down through heart center. Resetting the body, breathing here in mountain, feeling that strength. And we'll begin inhaling to reach your arms up to the sky, and as you exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, find length through your spine, lifting halfway, and as you exhale, step back into a plank pose, moving through your version of a chaturanga. Using your inhale to find your back bend, and as you exhale, shift back to a downward facing dog. Breathing here. Finding those long lines of energy, feeling that strength. On your next inhale, lengthen that right leg up to the sky, and as you exhale, bring that right foot between the hands, allow that left knee to come down to the floor. Finding a nice low lunge pose here. You can keep your hands down onto the top of the right thigh or lift and lengthen them up towards the sky, feeling them actively lengthen, but allowing your shoulders to relax down. Checking in to make sure that your right knee is stacked over your ankle. Feeling a nice stretch within that left hip, but still feeling nice and active through that right side. Making sure we're not collapsing into that right hip. Breathing really deeply. On your next exhalation, just bring your hands down to the floor, and we're going to wriggle our right foot slightly off of the mat and allow our right toes to point off at a 45-degree angle. And again, we're going to take some hip circles here. So really allowing your movement within your hips to go really nice and wide, trying to keep that right foot firmly planted on the mat, but just really working into that hip. If this is a little tender on your left knee, you can always double up your mat, flip it over, give a bit of extra cushion or a towel. Just making sure that we're rotating the opposite direction as well. Bringing a bit of movement. You may feel a little weird, but this feels so nice within the hips, I swear. Breathing deeply, and we'll come back through to center. Wiggle that right foot back through to the midline of your mat, and we'll shift back into half splits, making sure that our left hip is stacked over our left knee, and we're going to work on lengthening our right leg as best as you can to straight. So props here underneath the hands are really great because we do want to focus on keeping our spine nice and tall and our right toes flexing towards our face. Feeling a really nice, great stretch into that right hamstring here. Still feeling supported through the rest of the body, making sure that your belly button is drawing in towards your spine. On your next inhale, re-bend into that right leg, and we'll set up for a warrior two here. So that left foot is going to spin so it's parallel to the back of the mat. I always even like to turn my left toes in slightly so my foot is slightly angled. And then you're going to take a nice deep bend into that right knee, checking in, making sure your right knee is stacked over your ankle once again, but our hips are going to be nice and open towards the right side. Shoulders will be stacked over our hips. Arms are really actively reaching in opposite directions, looking out over our right middle finger here. Feeling this nice, powerful warrior pose. And as you exhale, you're just going to windmill your hands down to the floor, stepping your right foot back to meet your left. Always an option to move through a flow or meeting us back in a downward facing dog. Resetting the body, resetting our breath before we take the opposite direction. So we'll inhale to lift and lengthen our left leg to the sky. And as you exhale, you're going to step that left foot through, setting up for your low lunge. Always taking a few moments to check in, making sure the body is in the correct positioning here. Actively pressing down into that left foot, so we're engaging that left hamstring. As we feel supported there, it will give more opportunity to feel a nice stretch into that right hip. Making sure that our spine is nice and tall, that lower core is drawn in, and our pelvis is tucked in. We don't want any bend in our lower back. And on your next exhalation, we're going to frame our foot with our hands, and we'll take those hip circles again. So we'll wiggle our left foot off of the mat, allowing those left toes to be pointed out at a 45-degree angle. And we'll just start to really work into our hips here, taking deep circles, always doubling up your mat or grabbing a towel for your knee if it's a little tender, but just trying to make those hip circles as big as you can. Really breathing deeply into that movement, working out any kinks, anything that we feel in our hips. And we'll just shift directions, making sure that we're evening out, taking those circles on the opposite way. Bringing the body back to stillness, and we'll wiggle that left foot back to the center of our mat, setting up for our half splits. So working on lengthening that left leg straight, left toes are flexing towards your face, right hip is stacked over your right knee, working on keeping that spine nice and tall as we fold forward over that left leg, feeling that nice stretch into that left hamstring. Using your props if those are available to you. Doing what feels best. finding length with your breath. And on your next inhale, we'll replant that left foot, setting up for our warrior two. So allowing that right foot to spin down, allowing the hips to open, taking a few moments here to really set up with your alignment, checking in that your toes are pointing in the right directions, your hips are nice and open, and we're feeling really nice and strong. I always like to take a few moments to readjust, self-adjust, before I really land in my full depth of the posture. Tuning into that glute and groin muscle on the left side to make sure that we're not allowing that left knee to turn in towards the midline, keeping that knee stacked. And we'll windmill our hands down to the floor, step back, option to move through a flow, bending in through your chaturanga, inhaling up into your back bend, and exhaling into downward facing dog. Again, taking this down dog to reset your breath, your body. And on your next inhale, we'll bend into our knees and walk our hands back to meet our feet. Taking a wider leg forward fold here. And we're going to come into Malasana. So wiggling your feet out mat width distance apart, allowing your toes to turn out slightly, and we're going to take a bend into our knees, allowing our hips to come down towards the floor, opening up through those hips, feeling this in our lower spine. Finding length through your back with your arms up above head. It really makes you notice if you maybe are shifting and rounding through your spine, shifting weight into different areas of your feet. You can always bring your hands back through to heart center, working on supporting that upper body, keeping your spine tall, not collapsing into those hips. If you are a bit more open, finding the length. On your next exhalation, you can release that and fold forward over your legs. Finding a really nice tall spine here. We're going to keep our feet mat width distance apart, and we'll come into a forward fold. I'm taking a really nice chest opener variation. So you'll bring your hands back behind you, interlacing your fingers, allowing your hands to come away from your spine, away from your back. Just trying to feel a nice stretch within the chest. Still focusing on keeping our spine nice and tall and keeping equal weight between our toes and our heels. Making sure we're still in the right positioning for our forward fold as we open through the chest. And as you exhale, just gently releasing your hands back to the floor, wiggling your feet back through to hip width distance apart, and an option here to move through a flow or finding a downward facing dog. Inhaling to lift and lengthen right leg to the sky. And as you exhale, step that right foot forward and through, setting up for a warrior two. So again, like I mentioned before, take your time, take a few moments to check in that your body is all in the right position before you allow your body to settle into the depth of your pose. Making sure that your shoulders are stacked over your hips, and even you're tucking your tailbone in and under, finding length through that lower spine. Breathing deeply. On your next inhale, straightening out your right leg and pivoting your toes, setting up for goddess squat here. So toes are going to point out at a 45-degree angle, and you're going to bend deeply through your knees, taking a nice squatting position. Arms are going to lengthen up above your head, and we'll take a side bend here. I'm liking those today. So right forearm will come down to your right thigh, and you'll arch up and over towards the right with your left hand. Still keeping that deep bend through your knees, breathing into those legs, keeping that squatting position. Inhaling to come back up through to center, and as you exhale, allow that left forearm to come down to the top of the left thigh, side bend over to the opposite side. Making sure that your knees are still stacked over your ankles. You're using that strength to press those knees away from one another, feeling that opening through those hips, that groin. Inhaling back through to center, straighten out your legs, pivot your toes forward. We'll come into a wide-legged forward fold here. So allowing your feet to come wide enough that you can bring your hands down to the floor with a tall spine. So not everyone's position will look the exact same. Just make sure that you're feeling that length through your spine and that equal weight between your toes and your heels. If you work on going deeper, you can always allow your hands to walk between your feet, keeping your spine tall, using your breath to go deeper. Inhaling to create length through your spine. As you exhale, release. On your next inhale, walk your hands back out, and we'll come setting up for Skandasana. So left toes are going to point at a 45-degree angle to the back of the mat. Your right heel is going to lift onto the floor, so your right toes are facing the ceiling. You're going to take a deep bend into that left knee, basically so we're kind of coming into a half malasana shape. If that's a bit unavailable to you, you can always take this toe squat variation that I am demoing, just where your heel will lift and your arm is balancing on your toes. This position with your heel flat on the floor is a bit tricky for you. Doing whatever shape again feels most natural, feels best in your body. And on our next inhale, we're just going to shift up to the right side, taking Skandasana in the right leg. So deep squat into our right leg, allowing that left leg to be straight and supported. Those toes are facing the ceiling. Again, next inhale, walking your legs back, finding Skandasana to the left leg once again, nice tall spine. Breathing deeply. And we're going to shift into half moon pose here. So bending into your knees, walking your hands to the top of the mat. That left hand is going to come just at a foot or so in front of your right foot, allowing your hips to stack on top of one another and be open towards the left side, trying to balance on that right leg, that right hand, stacking your shoulders, stacking your hips, so you're feeling really nice and open. Maybe work on shifting your gaze up towards your left hand. Maybe challenging yourself by lifting your right hand off of the floor. Just feeling really nice and strong and supported. Next exhalation, gently release that half moon balance. Stepping back to move through a flow, or meeting this back in downward facing dog. Taking that flow on to the left side. After we reset here in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, lift and lengthen left leg to the sky, and as you exhale, set yourself up for a warrior two. Left knee will stack on top of the ankle. That right foot is parallel to the back of the mat, maybe those right toes slightly turning in, feeling supported through that right leg. Pressing down through that left foot, feeling that engagement in the hamstring. Breathing deeply, feeling that strength within the body. Using your breath to go deeper. On your next inhale, straighten out that left leg and pivot your toes, setting up for goddess pose on the opposite side. So deep bend in through your knees. Knees are going to be stacked over your ankles. So always playing with the positioning of your toes here. If your hips aren't as open, you can always turn your toes slightly more in. Or if your hips are really nice and open, you can turn your toes a bit further out. We're going to come into our side body bends here. So right forearm will come to the top of the right thigh, arching over towards the right side, feeling that length through the left. Inhale, come back through to center, and we'll come onto the left side. Left forearm comes to the top of the thigh, reaching up and over towards the left side with your right hand. Trying to keep that deep squat, keeping that breath, breathing into the legs, relaxing through the body as you feel this strength. On your next inhale, come back through to center, straightening out those legs, pivoting your toes, setting up for a second set of wide-legged forward fold. So finding that position within your legs where you can bring your hands down to the floor with a nice tall spine, and then using your breath to go to your depth. Maybe walking your hands between your feet, or even bringing your hands to blocks if it's still a little bit difficult for you. Biggest things is to focus on is to keep your spine nice and tall and keep the weight equal between your toes and your heels. It's really easy to release a lot of weight back towards our heels, allowing the hamstrings to release the stretch, which we don't want. On your next inhale, lengthen through your spine, position those right toes to the back of the mat, bend deeply into that right side, setting up for a Skandasana. Finding that half malasana shape within our right leg, and then our left leg is lengthened out. Breathing here. On your next inhalation, walk your hands to the top of the mat, bending into the left side, finding Skandasana, opposite direction. Keeping that firm press through the foot, that engaged, straightened leg, feeling supported here. Shifting again towards the back of the mat, finding Skandasana on that direction, on that side. Breathing into whatever shape you're creating here, and we'll travel into our balance, our half moon pose. So taking your time, setting up, shifting your weight into your left foot, planting your left hand down just in front of your left leg, and slowly working on stacking your hips on top of one another, always feeling free to keep your right hand on your right hip for help with the balance. Working on coming into your full expression by lengthening your right hand to the sky, maybe shifting your gaze, doing whatever feels best for you. Feeling really nice and strong through that right leg, imagining that you're standing on that lifted leg, super strong here. Keeping that focus, and on your next breath, you can gently send that right foot to the back of the mat, allowing the left foot to meet the right, and you can move through a Vinyasa to reset or meet us back in downward facing dog. And from here, we'll lower our knees and take a child's pose, allowing the body to rest after that sequence. So just trying to get your breath back if you've lost it. Find those deep breaths, that Ujjayi breathing, allowing the spine to round forward and rest here. Bring that focus back. Every exhale, releasing further, relaxing further. On your next inhale, we're just going to come onto our seat. So you're just going to walk your legs and cross them and just allow to come onto your bum, taking a nice seated forward fold here. So removing any extra flesh underneath your sit bones and making sure that you're sitting up really nice and tall. On your inhale, reaching your arms up overhead, and as you exhale, you're going to work on folding forward over your legs, bringing focus into that length of the spine. So if you can't quite reach your toes, you can always grab a strap or a towel, anything to bring length to your arms to help you reach your toes, or feel free to grab onto your ankles or your calves, whatever is accessible to you. Just keeping that focus on your spine, lengthening on the inhales. As you exhale, if it's available, creating more space to fold deeper. Those toes are pointing up towards the sky. Those legs are strong. Not allowing them to be passive, because we are using the strength of our legs to go deeper into the fold as well. And on your next inhale, we'll come back up to a seat, releasing that, and we're going to take a wide-legged forward fold here. So allowing your legs to come out as wide as comfortable. One sign will be if you bring your legs too far apart, your toes will want to keep turning in. So just finding that happy point to where your toes are staying pointed up towards the ceiling, and then you'll be folding forward over your legs. Again, here you still want to keep on focusing on that nice tall back. It may be a little trickier for you, so doing whatever is best for your body. You may not be folding too deeply, but that sensation should still be there within the lower body, within your groin, within your hips. Just using your breath to go deeper. Keeping those toes pointed towards the ceiling by keeping those legs nice and strong, working on tilting that pelvis forward and rotating through your hips. Inhaling to come back up to a tall seat, and we'll work on a bit of core here now. Coming into a Navasana drill, boat pose. So we're gonna work on lifting our legs up off of the floor. You can keep your knees bent or lengthen your legs out coming into the full expression. I'm going to keep my knees bent here. In Navasana, we're using the strength of our core to keep our spine nice and tall and our legs lifted. Trying to breathe deeply, really nice and controlled. Exhaling to lower down to a low boat, a low Navasana. So feet are going to be a few inches off the floor as well as the shoulders, looking towards your feet, breathing deeply, keeping that belly button drawing in towards the spine as you try to keep that control within your body. Next inhalation, come all the way back up into your full Navasana. Breathing. Keeping that lower spine nice and tall. If this is getting a bit too intense, you can always cross one leg over the other, or even allow your toes to float down towards the floor. On your next exhalation, allow the body to lower into your low boat, your low Navasana. Trying to keep that breath really long and even. It's really easy to kind of breathe deeply through these core drills. Keeping that control. On your next inhale, find length and breathe back up, Navasana, finding that same shape. Keeping calm through the body, through your mind. Keep it up. You're almost there. Last one, as you exhale, find your low Navasana. Legs are super strong. Really actively reaching your hands towards your feet, breathing deeply, belly button draws in, and release. Gently bring your knees in towards your chest, allowing them to come back, laying down, and just rocking from side to side, gently releasing that. And we will just take a few rock and rolls up and down our spine just to come back up to a seated position. And we will be coming into some back bends here. We're going to come into frog splits, because that core drill we just did is really intense on our hip flexors, the front of our hips. So this is a great one for not only our hips but also our groin. So this frog split position we are coming into, you want to make sure that you're working on keeping your knees in line with your hips, and then your knees are going to be your ankles will be stacked underneath your knees. So just making sure you're in that position with your legs, and you're just going to allow your knees to come as wide as they allow. This can be a very intense posture for the groin, for your hips. So going into your depth, just trying not to fight the stretch. Really try to allow your breath, your relaxation to come to your hips, come to your groin, allowing those to open here. Just feeling a nice sensation, trying to relax and breathe. With every exhale, maybe your hips are opening up deeper, your knees are going further apart, and you're relaxing forward. You can always come down onto your forearms like I'm doing and allowing your upper body, or if you're a bit tighter, you can always use blocks, something to keep that upper body lifted if your hips aren't as open. Just trying to find a comfortable position where you can breathe here for a few moments, a few minutes if you wanted. Every breath, using your exhales to relax further into the postures. Inhaling to find security within the pose, making sure you're not releasing anything that is supporting you. And you can really stay in this position for as long as you would like. We are staying here for a few moments. It is a yin pose, so you can stay here for up to 10 minutes if you wanted to. But we won't. We're on your next breath, you're going to come out of that. So I always like to either rock forward or backward, just so I can tuck my toes and safely bring my knees back together. And you can just sit back on your heels or any comfortable seated position for you, just allowing your legs to reset after that intense hip opening posture. And we're going to set up for camel pose here, Ustrasana. So coming up, so you're in a kneeling position, making sure your knees are hip-width distance apart. And we're going to breathe, inhaling your arms up and overhead. And we're just going to allow the hands to come down to our lower back. Fingers are going to point down towards our knees, allowing the chest to open up as much as you possibly can without even bending through our spine. On an inhale, you're going to start to arch your spine and shift your gaze up, maybe tracing your gaze back behind you along the wall. Just making a really nice positive bend through your upper spine, not feeling any negative bend, any negative sensation into your lower back. You want to always allow your hands to drop down towards your heels, checking in to make sure that your hips are still stacked over your knees. We're breathing through our upper back here. We want to feel as if we're lifting our collarbones towards the ceiling. And on your next inhale, gently coming back up to a tall spine, allowing the hips to sink down towards the heels just for a moment as we reset from that bend. We will be taking a second round. So just breathing here, feeling those sensations, and whenever you're ready, coming back up for a second set. Inhaling to reach your arms up overhead, finding the position with your hands to your lower spine. Breathing deeply, opening up through our chest, and then starting to arch our spine back, finding the depth of our back bend, maybe bring your hands down towards your heels. You can always keep your toes tucked and your heels will be a bit higher for you if they're a little bit out of reach. Just trying to keep that positioning, feeling that nice positive bend through your spine, opening up through your chest, opening up into your heart, keeping your breath controlled, and coming out whenever you're ready on an inhale, allowing your head to come up last, and you can again sit those hips back towards your heels, allowing the spine to be nice and tall in this seated position, allowing it to reset. And we'll just shift into a child's pose here, coming into this fold, letting go of those back bends and just counterbalancing here with your child's pose. You can always feel free to come into a forward fold if you need a bit more intensity. Just allowing the spine to round forward and relax. Releasing that through your body. And on your next inhale, coming back up onto your hands and knees, and we're going to shift back onto our bum here. And we're going to fully come down onto our backs. So making your way to laying down on your back, allowing your feet to fall to the floor. We're going to start to close off the practice here and setting up for a reclined spinal twist. I'm doing my favorite variation here with eagle legs. So you can cross your right leg over top your left, and then just allowing your legs to fall over towards the left side as you look over your right shoulder. If this is too intense, you can always uncross your legs. Just feeling the upper body and lower body releasing deeper, allowing the body to fall deeper into that twist. Every exhale, feeling like you're relaxing further, twisting deeper, wringing out all of those bad toxins that we've developed. And then once we release, we'll have really nice fresh blood pulsing through our body, feeling rejuvenated, allowing the breath to calm. And then just breathing on your next inhale, coming back through to center, shifting onto our other side. So just scooching our hips over towards the left side now and allowing our left leg to cross over top of the right, allowing the legs to fall over to the right side as we look over our left shoulder. Trying to find that same depth of relaxation that we had on the opposite side. Again, using the weight within our body to go deeper into the twist. Allowing the body and mind to become slower, become more relaxed. Breathing into this twist. And then on your next inhale, just really nice and gently bring your legs back through to center. And we'll set our ourselves up for our final pose, Shavasana. So lengthening your legs out, allowing the body to take up as much space as you possibly could want. Just working on bringing that stillness and that relaxation into the body. You can stay here for as long as you would like. I thank you so much for joining me today for this flow. I thank you so much. Have a great day. Namaste.